Hi everybody, I'm going to try to be quick about this, just because, as I mentioned in like the last couple of videos, my phone's acting a little bit demented right now. So I'm going to try to do this review quickly. Alright, there's a documentary on Netflix that I'm going to talk about. It's called Turning Point 9/11 and the War on Terror. It's actually a very good documentary. It's like, I think, about 60 to 67 minutes long. And it's like, if I'm remembering correctly, it's broke down into like 4 segments. And like they talk at length about, like each individual segment of it. Like, like what was going on in New York and with President George W. Bush. And, the fact that they knew, apparently they knew, the FBI and the CIA knew something was in the wind about something happening in New York City and with an airplane and stuff like that. And they actually talked about it at length because they have released some of the information since then. And this documentary was released on September the 1st of 2021. Just in time for the 20-year anniversary of 9/11. And they spent, I think, 10 years making it. So, they had a lot of time to cobble this all together and actually make it. But I have to say, it's a really well done documentary if you're into documentaries. But the thing is, and this is something that I'm shocked about still to this day, is why the FBI and the CIA weren't talking to each other 20 some years ago. And, compared notes, it said, what do you know about so-and-so and X and this and that and the other thing? And after then, it's like they pulled their stuff together and was like, well, why weren't we told this? And it's because the two of them weren't talking to each other. They're like, a couple of siblings that are mad at each other or something. And I'm like, yeah, well, why didn't you? I think this might have been stopped if, like, the FBI and the CIA pulled their resources and worked together on this. I think they are now, although I wouldn't swear to it. But yeah, they talked about that, and they talked about, like, what was going on in Iraq and Afghanistan and Pakistan and, like why these guys did what they did and who funded them. It was, they went into some detail I rather forget, about all that. And it's just, and at the end, I just remember feeling like, I'm like, this possibly could have been prevented. Maybe, I don't know. But it probably could have been prevented, or they could have at least mitigated the damage, and all that loss of life. Because I have to tell you, I actually know somebody that lost a family member that day. And, it was really hard because I worked with her. She was the girl that I worked with that lost a family member. She was actually from New York City, and we all knew it. And when she came in that night, I asked her, I said, well, have you talked to any of your family? And I said, do you know where they are? Are they okay? What do you know about what's going on up there? And she told me and this other girl that was there with me, she's like, well, one of my, it was like a cousin or a brother-in-law or somebody, like a family member or an uncle or somebody went to the trade centers and was missing. I don't know if they, I can't tell you if they ever found him or whatever happened to him, because I never heard. Because, I left the company like a few months later, and they were still, picking through everything and trying to figure out what happened. As we all know, it probably took like another year or two before they dug everything out and cleared everything away to where, they could sort it all down somewhere and say what was what. You know, but by then, of course, you know, anybody that would have been under there would have been dead, long dead. You know, but like I said, the documentary was Turning Point 9/11, the War on Terror. It was actually, I mean, it was broke down into 4 segments, and like I said, it was really good, but it was like in depth about like Pakistan, Afghanistan, you know, like what the president might have known, about like what happened in New York City and the field in Pennsylvania, and like, you know, like they talked about like the Pentagon at, you know, at great length. I mean, it was very interesting, and it held your interest the whole time. I mean, and it's really worth a watch, you know, if you have the chance to actually sit down and watch it. This is, it's, you know, and I have to also say, I'm not a big person on documentaries or whatever, but this one I actually liked and I watched. But anyway, I'm going to pause here before this phone cuts me off, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.